and welcome to the regular meeting of the Recreation and Parks Commission. This meeting is being conducted utilizing teleconferencing and electronic means consistent with the State of California Executive Order N-29-20 dated March 17, 2020, regarding the COVID-19 pandemic. It is strongly recommended the public view the meeting on Spectrum Channel 3 and 22, AT&T Uverse Channel 99, and or El Segundo TV at youtube.com. Submission of public comments. For those wishing to make public comments at tonight's commission meeting, it was requested that written comments be emailed to recparkcommission@elsegundo.org up to 30 minutes prior to the start of the meeting. However, if for any reason you were unable to email your comments, a laptop has been set up in the council chamber for public communication. One person at a time may enter the chamber to give a comment and will be subject to our current rules for public communication. Reading of public comments. For those who sent in comments via email, the city clerk Jackie will read the comments aloud and they will be written into record. All email comments will be subject to the same rules as would otherwise govern speaker comments at the commission meeting. The email comments submitted will become part of the record and subject to the Public Records Act. This is going to be our call to order. We will be conducting this evening's meeting at a virtual setting. Commission members and staff are participating from remote locations, and senior staff is in the chamber to accommodate public communications. Members of the public may view again and listen to the meeting live this evening on Spectrum Channel 3 and 22. Let's see here, where am I going? Please remember to mute your mics when not speaking, and commissioners, if making a motion or second, please do so using your last name in order for Jackie to hear and report correctly. Would everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? And as you can see in the corner there, the flag is there. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Jackie, it is time for roll call.
Okay. Commissioner Watson?
Present.
Commissioner Stolnick?
Present.
Commissioner Lubes?
Present.
Vice Chair Davis?
Present.
And Chairperson Moda.
I am here. Okay. Thank you, Jackie. Presentations. Introduction of new employee Rachel Cummings, Recreation Supervisor of Youth and Teen Programs at the Clubhouse. I think Ericia is taking this.
Yes, thank you. So, as we know, these two people are no stranger to the El Segundo staff, and I'm so delighted to have them back. As you know, last year, was it last year or early this year, we lost two of our supervisors, both Darren Yule and Janine Houchin went on to work with another agency, and it was kind of like, okay, what do we do now? So now we have two new supervisors. I'm so proud to introduce them this evening. We have Rachel, who left us as a recreation specialist. She went to Malibu. And Rachel, I won't steal all of your thunder. I'll let you introduce yourself a little bit. And then she came back and she was ready and willing to do a supervisor position, interviewed wonderfully, and she is now on overseeing both youth and teen programs over at the clubhouse. And of course, we have Linda Palmer, who has done a stellar job over at the Aquatic Center. She is now promoted to Recreation Aquatic Supervisor over Aquatic in general. So I want to give them time this evening to go ahead and say a little bit about their background and what their plans are and what they hope to achieve here in El Segundo. If we could start with Linnea, that would be great. Linnea, I hope I'm not calling you out too soon.
Yeah, thank you. I thought you were introducing Rachel.
I threw a curveball in there.
So, yes, I've been working here for 10 years now. I grew all the way up through the aquatics field. I gained some experience in recreation with camps, as well as I did the all hazard incident management team recently. I've learned a lot in the last few years with the different supervisors we've had, and I'm just excited to be able to put my spin on it and start. So I'm excited about the team that we have, honored to take on this position as supervisor. It's been a big jump. We opened the aquatic center, closed the aquatic center. Now we're back open with COVID. So it's been an adjustment. We've moved to a reservation system. We're opening family swim and youth swim coming up next week. So just trying to grow. It's been kind of nice to have a fresh start with all of our programming and staff and implementing changes. So being able to make those changes and adjustments and grow, hopefully we'll get to start some programming soon in there too. So yeah, hope I covered everything. Short and sweet.
Thank you, Linnea. Rachel?
Hi, everyone. My name is Rachel Cummings. I have, like Linnea, I've lived in town my whole life. I did leave and go to college elsewhere, but yeah, I've pretty much been here for my whole life. I did work here before as a rec leader, and I left and went to work for the city of Malibu for a couple of years, where I was a recreation coordinator. And that was great, you know, learning a whole new territory. It's very similar, the same field of recreation, but just in a different location. So when I saw this position open up, I was really excited for the opportunity to come back to a place I care about. So yeah, I'm excited to be back and to contribute new ideas that I've learned and kind of navigate the new world of COVID and what that means for our community. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Rachel. Do you have any questions this evening of either one of our new supervisors?
I don't, but congratulations to both of you, and looking forward to seeing you and working with you. Obviously, I've seen you both. I do want to apologize to Linnea. I would have introduced you if I thought we were going to do them one at a time, but you have been introduced.
All's forgiven. We're good.
Anybody else have any questions or comments? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to go to public communications. Is there anyone in the chamber wishing to speak?
We have no public communications this evening.
Okay, thank you. And there are no written public communications also, correct?
No, there are no written public communications either.
Thank you very much. We will close public communications. Okay, to the consent calendar. Approval of the minutes of the Recreation and Parks Commission regular meeting of February 19th, 2020. Anyone have any comments? Does anybody remember back that far?
Lubes makes a motion to approve.
Davis will second.
All in favor? We'll go right around. Kelly.
Yes. Approved.
Julie.
Yes.
Lee.
Yes.
Dave.
Yes.
Moda, yes. 5-0. Okay, let's see, where are we going next here? There's no unfinished business. New business. Staff will provide a review of actions taken in response to the coronavirus pandemic and provide information on which parks and recreation facilities and programs are open and to what extent, which remain closed, and plans for reopening in the future. The recommendations received the report about the department's response and actions pertaining to the pandemic, or 2, open discussion, question and answer. So that would be Meredith.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Moda. And first off, I want to start by just expressing our appreciation for your patience during this time. I know we haven't met since February, and time flies. You know, it doesn't seem like 5 months ago, but it certainly is. So thank you for your patience. The city obviously was very busy in our response in mid-March, especially in that initial period of the first couple of months. After that, we hit kind of a status quo period, and right now it seems to be ramping up again. And so just wanted to provide this staff report to give a brief overview of what our department has been up to, but also just to encourage some open dialogue, questions and answers that either you have and need answers to, or you think maybe would be beneficial for the community as they rewatch this meeting. And I'll start by saying at the initial response, the city activated our all hazards incident management team. And, you know, for several years now, the city's placed a priority on preparing for emergencies. And many of our staff have been to dozens and dozens of hours of training and have been assigned to specific positions that are completely different than their day jobs here in Recreation and Parks. And so I definitely, you know, want to commend those individuals who have participated in that all hazards incident management team, Linnea included, like she mentioned, as part in the division called logistics. Sean Green has been the planning section chief for pretty much the entire time, and Ryan Delgado has been working in, I believe it's, the operations section, and he's been instrumental in some of the programs that I'm going to talk about here in a minute. But I think what I wanted to emphasize in that is that Recreation Parks seems to always, you know, be called upon when things need to get done. And I'm just really proud of the versatility of the staff. And I know that it's been a very good learning experience for all of us, because even if we haven't been specifically assigned to assignments on the team on a daily basis, all staff members have been working in coordination with that team in receiving their support as we've had to take actions and take actions very swiftly. So it's been a learning experience, and the city as a whole is looked upon as an example in what we've accomplished under this structure. So moving on to initial programs. So in mid-March, pretty much everything was shut down. And just to clarify, and I think most people are knowledgeable at this point, but our directions are coming from the Los Angeles County Department of Public Health. And early on, the city took the position and the stance that we were going to, as a city, take actions aligned with all of the health orders, which we're required to do. Some cities, however, took stances that were more strict or more restrictive than some of the health orders that came out, and that's okay. We can be more strict as a city, but you can't be less restrictive, and that's an important point that community members need to understand, that even though our numbers may look, our case numbers may look more favorable than another city or jurisdiction, doesn't mean that we have the authority to open businesses or facilities outside of those health orders coming from the county. Also, initially, we closed down Rec Park, all of the parks, including the restrooms, and then as time went on, the health orders allowed us to reopen certain things. Some of the initial services that we put in place and through the incident management team were specifically targeted to our vulnerable and at-risk populations, and even more specifically at Park Vista. Obviously, that was identified as a city facility with nearly 100 tenants, elderly tenants and, many with underlying health conditions that would make them even more at risk. And so it was really difficult, for them to hear that they needed to stay in their apartment unit essentially and not get out. So we immediately implemented some programs over there, and with the gracious assistance of the Rotary Club, we were able to connect. The Rotary Club has been collecting interest in volunteers and put together a list, and we've been connecting those people in need, not just at Park Vista, but throughout the community, with the volunteers through the Rotary Club to provide shopping assistance and errand assistance, and even we've expanded to prescription drug delivery, and that's been really received favorably, and everybody is just really thankful for that partnership. We also have Rec and Park staff who are now delivering the home delivered meals. Our volunteers are not able to do that at this time, so that's been turned over into a staff function. And St. Vincent's, who we actually received the meals from, used to deliver to El Segundo. Now we actually have to go pick up the meals in downtown LA. They've changed some of their services where they're frozen meals instead of fresh meals every day. So they actually, I think the staff are going down about once a week and getting a week's worth of frozen meals and then delivering those on a daily basis to the community members in need. And we also have staff still staffed in front of Park Vista, monitoring those coming in and coming out, also packages, wiping down mail and packages, and just going through certain protocol to make sure that those seniors stay safe, and we keep germs out of there as much as possible. And only authorized guests are allowed in Park Vista. And knock on wood, everybody is staying healthy in Park Vista. We have Dr. Dial-A-Ride still on Thursdays. We're looking at expanding Dial-A-Ride again with certain protocol in play, and so we think we're going to be able to open that back up in the near future, at least on maybe one additional day or 2 additional days. Now that people are allowed to go out and do different things, we know that there are seniors particularly who do want to go maybe do their own shopping or visit their physical therapist and things of that nature. We've closed down and reopened the golf course. We don't have plans right now to reopen the restaurant at this point. As you know, there's been a lot of opens and closes in the restaurant in dining situations, and we've avoided kind of that roller coaster ride by just not reopening at this point. And in fact, from a financial standpoint, the golf course is better off without that operation. Also, tennis, paddle tennis, pickleball has reopened. The restrictions in that area are that it's singles play only, and it does require advanced reservations. And that way we can monitor how many people are coming and going so that there's not too many people congregating if there are full courts and none available. And we've put some rules in place where residents can still get a free reservation within a certain time period on the day before. If there's something available, they can give us a call and make a reservation at no cost. Let's see, we've got Farmers Market that reopened June 11th, and that's been also, I know I was out there the first day and people were really thankful to have that back, able to get their produce, their fresh produce and packaged items quickly, not have to go into the grocery stores and indoor arena. There is certain restrictions there. There's a one-way entrance, one-way exit. We're just monitoring the physical distancing, and we have some hand washing stations out there, hand sanitizer, and face coverings are required to enter the market. And then the last thing we've reopened here is the El Segundo Weisburn Aquatic Center. First, we opened it up to the reservation groups and lap swim. And as Linnea mentioned, we do have some additional programming coming up starting in the next week or two with some family swim options and youth lap swim. So the things on the horizon for us, we are planning We have some operational plans, like I mentioned, to reopen or expand our dial-a-ride services again. We have a good idea of how we would reopen the skate park should we decide to reopen the skate park, and when we feel comfortable doing that. Ball fields and youth sports are still not allowed, and we intend to keep the plunge closed at this point as long as we can accommodate those groups at the aquatic center. Right now, the aquatic center is operating really well. We've expanded the times and the space for the rental groups because there are no high school programs going on. The schedule's been modified to allow them more space to spread out their swimmers in their training. So that's been really working well. What I don't see coming around anytime soon is probably special events or large gatherings of any kind, and recreation programs that are indoors are probably a couple sessions away. Obviously, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what's going to happen with the coronavirus and positive cases, but you know, the challenging part has been all along is this kind of you know, at least initially we just didn't know. We had our phases and our stages sort of mapped out based on the information we had from the state and the county and initial preparations, but we just didn't know when we would get the green light on certain things, and that's still the case because those decisions are made on the data and the positive cases, and that'll come from the state and from the county. So what we're doing in the back end is just preparing as much as we can with the information that we have so that when we do get authorization to open certain things and allow certain programs to occur at city facilities, that we're ready to make that turnaround as quick as possible. On the bright side, we've had some really positive interactions with some virtual summer camp programming. We had a 4th of July home decorating contest with I think nearly 40 households participating, and so that's really you know, the change in our approach is to get creative and find new ways to engage the community in their individual households, or how they can you know, recreate and use our facilities in their family units or on an individual basis. So it's a bit of a mind shift for us, but we're certainly happy that Rachel's here and can really address that particular area that you know, for the foreseeable future is where we'll be. So with that, I would turn it over to questions, and you know, if anybody has anything they want to chime in and add, please feel free. Sure, Kelly.
So first of all, I think what you guys have done is fantastic. It's been an incredible response. The vibe in the park is really positive. I love the hand wash stations. I think that was a really clever idea. And the 4th of July decorating was really, really innovative and a great way to engage the community. So I look forward to finding fun ways to deal with some upcoming events in a similar vein. I wanted to ask about the skate park because I saw a post on social media, and I don't know if you all saw it, but people are noticing that kids are climbing over the top and they're in the skate park, and it's during pretty visible times of the day. And I'm wondering if we have sort of a solution to address I know early on there were some folks violating the hockey arena, and it was very clever. Your solution to that was to take away the goals, and then they didn't want to do that anymore. But I'm wondering kind of what we're going to do about the skate park situation.
Yeah, I'll start, and then I'll turn it over to Ericia. She's been knee deep in this particular subject. But as far as enforcement goes, you know, El Segundo and in fact most cities and just in general have taken sort of a lighter hand to the enforcement piece, and hoping that people take a personal responsibility to keeping the physical distancing, keeping their face coverings, you know, not trespassing at facilities that are either labeled as closed or even secured as closed. At this point, You know, we are getting more and more reports of that. I think people are getting really, you know, anxious and have cabin fever, of course. Now it's summer and school's out, so we're seeing it happen more. I encourage the community, honestly, to either call our 2700 line, because we do have park rovers on staff throughout the entire day. We have staff that are mainly opening and closing our tennis courts, but they do have a route where they're walking the park, and the skate park is on the route. We're looking at either increasing staffing or making sure that they hit the skate park a little bit more. But also people driving by can certainly call the non-emergency line at the police department. We're concerned, to be honest, about the skate park and about teenagers in general, because we see them in the park congregating and have to remind them that it's not allowed, and certainly not allowed at the park. You know, hopefully we can shoo them off, but typically they're just going to go do it somewhere else, and that doesn't necessarily combat the health hazards. It simply removes them from a city facility. So in general, we're concerned that teenagers aren't really, you know, adhering to those protocol to keep them safe. You know, we've talked, you know, initially about, you know, would cameras help, or, you know, besides, you know, running some barbed wire across the top of the fence, you know, and unless we station somebody there all the time, it's really just about increasing the amount of times that we have staff go check on the facility. Arcia, did you want to add anything?
Well, I don't have much to add. I do know that, yes, I am receiving emails and calls with regards to the skate park. And like Meredith said, we're trying to go ahead and assign some more staff to check in on the skate park. But I did also receive an email from Chief Whalen saying that he realized that the skate park was an issue, and he is also trying to come up with a way to patrol that area more often. So hopefully we'll see some positive turnaround from that as well.
Certainly open to suggestion if you have any.
Sounds like you have it getting it under control. Anyone else?
Julie, you're muted.
Yeah, Julie, looked like you were trying to say something, but you're muted.
Hi there. I just wanted to say, I think all the park staff and city staff has done a great job all of these months and being thrown into this, at the last minute. I think it's just been a great thing, that has happened with the staff and the training and everything. I wanted to say the 4th of July, I don't think we've ever had to cancel our 4th of July celebration before. So it was a huge thing for our town to do that. But I think the pinwheels were a great addition, and I saw some posts on Facebook about that and how everybody loved that. And you could just see them all over the park. And I think that was just a nice, reminder to people. And it was not every community does stuff like that. And so I think that was a special thing that was done. And I like that. And also when I've been out walking, I purposely walk by the parks and just kind of look at how the parks have been, not so much Rec Park, but, Washington and Freedom and Sycamore. And with the lack of use, the parks are looking really nice. I have made notes on some of them that once we're out of this, of doing some replanting in some of the parks and upgrading them. But otherwise, I think the parks have been looking pretty good. And another thing that has come up on Facebook is a lot of people are complaining about the dog poop problems at Candy Cane. And we've talked about that before and what can be done. And, that seems to be the park that gets hit the worst. And I don't know why. And I don't know, do we have a station there with bags? But it seems to be a real problem. and I don't know what the solution is, but you know, I wonder if those people that are leaving it behind leave it behind in their own home as well. You know, it's like, pick it up. But the kids are stepping in it, and it's becoming like a dog park instead of a park for the community. So I know that has been something that people have been talking about. The other thing is talking about the shopping program that we've been doing with Rotary. I've been one of those shoppers from the very beginning, and a while ago we were supposed to kind of start cutting back on that because it looked like we were going back to normal life. And the little man that I shopped for was kind of concerned because he didn't drive and the shuttle was not running yet, and he didn't know what he was going to do. And I told him that I would not stop shopping for him and that I would continue until he had a way to get to the market. And I heard that that was going to be a problem with the shuttles because everybody having to get on the shuttle past the driver, and were they going to go to another type of car, or what was going to happen. And I don't mind, you know, continuing my weekly shopping for him. He's so appreciative, as so many of the seniors are. So I don't know. I mean, that's going to be a kind of a huge program to bring back online as well, and getting those seniors out to the market and getting them to their different places. And like I said, I told him that I would continue shopping for him. I go every Tuesday and take care of him. But I think some of the volunteers are probably, you know, wanting to slow down or wanting to stop that. So I don't know how long that's going to take to get the shuttle program back up and running again.
Anything else? Or are you, was that a question for Meredith?
Yeah, kind of a question. I mean,
okay.
What do you foresee there?
Yeah, well, I mean, first and foremost, we're making sure that our drivers feel comfortable and that we can keep the drivers and the passengers safe. We've come up with a plan to, it would be a situation where it would be one rider and their caregiver if they needed one on the shuttle at a time, and that's it. You know, our normal programs would pick up a few passengers for a trip to Ralph's, let's say. So it would be a one-on-one situation. Our drivers would be advised to exit the vehicle while the passenger boards, and then reboard so that they can maintain that 6-foot distancing. Face covers would be required. And we'd follow all the protocol that the health orders and the guidelines have for public transportation. Sanitizing in between rides, and you know, making sure that people are not riding if they're experiencing symptoms or have any known exposure to COVID. But we are treading lightly because it is a concern of ours as well, as far as the safety of both the driver and the passengers. And you know, with the changes the last couple days with rolling back some of the openings, we've sort of hit a pause button at this point. Don't have a date in mind, just because we need to be nimble and strategic, and when we start the service, because it's much more difficult to start the service and then cancel it and then start it and then cancel it. So we're just sort of waiting for that where we feel is the right time to reopen that certain service. So I just don't know when it's going to be, but we talk about it probably every other day and kind of reassess where we're at if we think we have a date in mind. So
how many people, like, say, and I don't know, does the Ralph shuttle run daily, or is it like Tuesday, Thursday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday?
You mean
yes.
Before? Oh gosh. I want to say it was on Saturdays were the shopping trips. And then Dial-A-Ride was typically appointment based.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I told my man that I would just continue shopping for him as long as.
Yeah, and then, you know, in conversations with Eloise, I'm not sure if she's turned over her presidency at
Yeah,
this point.
Val has it now.
To Val. So with the Rotary Club, it seems like there's quite a few volunteers still on the list. And so, I told Eloise last time I talked to her, if we need to recruit more volunteers because we're experiencing burnout, we can kind of go through another phase of recruitment, and maybe we'll get some fresh faces and some fresh energy into that program.
Okay.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you. And we're going to go to number 2. Consideration and possible action related to receiving an update on funded 2019-2020 capital improvement projects. And the recommendation, this is another report, review and receive the CIP updates. Meredith.
Yes, so if you recall, if you read your packet from March, the meeting that we did not have, this is sort of a carryover of what we were planning to discuss in March. However, there's been some changes. And so I wanted to, rather than just ditch it, provide you this update. This year, we will not be going through the same exercise that we have in the last 2 years in that prioritization. The city is moving to a July, as you know, right now we're on an October through September fiscal year, and we are moving to a July through June fiscal year to be in line with most other government agencies. And so this upcoming fiscal year is actually a 9-month period. So it's going to be covering October 1st through June 30th. That would get us onto that July cycle. And then with the impacts right now of COVID and some uncertain financial impacts that the city may experience as a result, the Public Works Department is simply carrying over existing and already funded projects into the next year because there's plenty that they're still working on. And rather than adding projects and adding funding or allocating funds, they're simply going to focus on finishing out these projects that are still in progress. And it's not uncommon. In fact, it is very common that these projects are multi-year projects with the Public Works bidding process and the number of steps that go into accomplishing these. But in your attachments, it's I think it's worthy of going through some of these projects and celebrating the successes that we've experienced, largely in part because of this commission and getting involved and prioritizing these projects and getting in front of that CPAC committee. It really enhanced the ability to get funding into the rec park projects. So this is definitely more projects that have been completed and more improvements in Parks and Rec than we've seen over many years that I've been here. So your involvement and your representation of the community is absolutely critical in getting these projects funded. So I just encourage you, even though we're not identifying new projects right now, please keep your eyes out, your ears out to the community, and either send me ideas that you have or that you hear of in the community so that our next round we can make sure we have a comprehensive list of what the community wants. But as you know, about a year ago, Holly Valley Playground was completed. Not just the playground, but Christopher and his crews really did a tremendous job on the landscaping upgrades throughout that park. They added a decomposed granite pad for the picnic table, took out some trees, added some really great landscaping in there, and right now it's absolutely thriving. It looks amazing. Camp El Segundo shade structures with the help of funding from AYSO. That was completed in the last year. The Richmond Field project was modified quite a bit, and unfortunately we weren't able to get our field enhancements, but the parking lot there and the partnership with El Segundo Unified is certainly I think really a positive thing for the community surrounding that facility, and even the plunge. I think we'll see a lot of people using that parking lot. We've added I think it was about 30 to 35, 36 parking spaces that'll be able to be used for those using the field and the plunge. Acacia Park is moving right along. There was a slight delay with the coronavirus when that initially hit, but the City Council made that a priority to keep moving forward on the Acacia project. The bids have been received for construction, and Public Works is working on getting everything together to award construction contract in August. So the construction will probably start in the fall. We are hoping to see it start in late summer, but looks more like the fall, but it is moving forward and progressing. The toddler playground that you see on your list, that's something that we've folded into the Acacia Park design. Washington Park playground, that was pretty disappointing to finish that playground, which is I'm really excited to see how the kids respond to a lot of the new items that were designed into that, including that net climbing structure, that rope climbing structure, the new synthetic turf as the surface material, and it looks amazing. We've opted to keep the fence up around because we thought it would just be too attractive with caution tape. So really looking forward to opening that when we're able to, but that is completed. And again, Christopher's crew came in and did a lot of landscaping updates. We're working on the plunge renovation, and Aracia is spearheading a project co-leading with Cheryl Ebert, the engineer from Public Works, and selected a really great architectural design team to get started on that. Probably in the next couple of weeks, we'll see the community engagement process get started, the site analysis, and when we get to the aquatics subcommittee reports, maybe Lee and Kelly can help describe their involvement there. The teen center, I know we talked about right now, that's on hold. We had talked about, and City Council had allocated $50,000 of the $800,000 to actually do more of a needs assessment, to talk to the community and really find out what that facility really, the scope of whatever project we do and improvements that we make at the teen center, just to ensure that the use is consistent with what the community desires. Gordon Clubhouse was an unfunded project, no scope developed. However, with that needs assessment, both the clubhouse and the Joslyn will likely be folded into that, so we'll be able to study all three of those sort of community centers when we engage the community and determine what the future of all three of those could look like. The inline hockey rink renovation also got a little bit blip because of COVID. We received, it was out to bid right when everything started closing down, so unfortunately we didn't receive any responsive bids to the project. So Public Works is reworking the scope a little bit, and we'll put that back out to bid in the next couple of months. And the bleacher replacement project at softball field is also moving forward. I just got word today that that the contract is in place, and so the bleachers will likely get started to be manufactured. That'll be about a probably 6 to 8 week lead time for the design and manufacturing of the bleachers, the specific bleachers. But the concrete pads underneath will also be reconstructed, so that'll look really nice. And fitness trail at Memory Row, that one's a little bit of a question mark right now. There's no scope really that's been attached to that, and there's some discussion about diverting those funds to the Gateway project should that project need it to tie into that specific Imperial and Main Avenue. So so there's that one is a big question mark at this point. But all of the ones that you've rated high priorities are either completed or there's some positive outlook and progress on those projects. So that's really great to see. But that's all I have, and if you have any questions, we can certainly address those.
Questions or comments?
Meredith, on the opening of Washington Park and Acacia Park, especially Acacia, since it's going to be such a huge change for the neighborhood and the community, and there's been, you know, so much controversy with taking the pool out and all of that. We ought to look at doing some type of a grand opening, you know, of that park. And I think also Washington Park, that's really been an underused park, and it's, you know, kind of a new and exciting area that's going to be going in there. And I think it would be a good idea if we had grand openings of those parks instead of the fence just being taken down and then whoever just happens to go and find it finds it, you know, and do something of community celebration. I think would be a nice thing to do for both of those parks.
Yeah, thank you for that comment. I agree. I think, you know, Acacia's a little ways off, but definitely Washington. You make a great point, is that it was underutilized. It wasn't a really attractive playground. Some people liked it, but I don't think many people made it a destination necessarily. And I think that's what it's going to become. So I would love to introduce the community to that in a nice celebration.
Right. And with the social media posts that you guys were doing,
Yeah.
you know, it kind of sparked interest with people and got them, you know, thinking about that park. And now it's just all fenced off, but it's going to be a new and exciting playground. And I think it would be nice to do a grand opening of that park.
Yeah, most definitely.
Anyone else? Kelly?
Yeah, I wondered where the library park children's piece comes into this, that children's outdoor library.
Yeah, good point. Thank you. So we have another project called the Library Park Activation Project. You know, Melissa McCollum, the Director of Library Services, is I would say spearheading that at this point. But we're certainly playing a big role in that. And Christopher is on the phone. Maybe Christopher can give a rundown, because this commission may not even know, you know, what that entails. And a lot of the work will be done by in-house crews, both in Parks and Public Works. So Christopher, you've been quiet, so I'm going to just let you kind of explain the progress on that project.
Sure. I apologize for being faceless this evening, but anyways, yeah, in fact, there's been a design done for this library park that involves kind of a central area that has a stage and seating and some other type of furniture. And then there's these, I think there's 5 stations scattered throughout the existing walks. And we're right in the process of trying to figure out what staff can accomplish a lot of the work. And we're looking to work with street staff and the park staff to accommodate a lot of the work. And then obviously there's going to be some elements that are either going to be purchased or a contractor is going to have to do the work. But design has been done, and actually we've got a meeting tomorrow, Zoom meeting tomorrow, to kind of fine tune or focus in on the staff work there.
Yeah, what I saw of the design was fantastic. I wonder if is that published somewhere that people can see and weigh in on or take a look at?
You know, they're planning to do a informative presentation to City Council, I believe in August, although it may be not till September. But I can definitely get that that booklet, the concept, and we can share it at the next meeting or prior to. Essentially, it's a story walk where there's 5 stations, like Christopher mentioned, throughout the walking path of Library Park. And they'll be fairly subtle. I know there's been, you know, we wanted to be careful to not include, you know, giant play structures or something obtrusive into Library Park, and keep its natural aesthetic qualities in place. But essentially somebody could walk through the park, read a couple pages of a story, and there'll be some sort of interactive element or art piece or something that would spur a child's imagination, say, you know, as they read through the story. But then the stage area that the library will be able to activate with their children's programs, and obviously Recreation and Parks would have access to using it, or anybody just as part of their visit to the park. And the concept was developed by way of a $10,000 grant that the library department was successful in obtaining. So they were able to get somebody to design that concept. And then Christopher, as he mentioned, the city staff will be carrying it out to the best of our abilities. But that's moving along. Timeline-wise, Christopher, did you mention a timeline?
No, that's a question mark in my mind as well.
Hopefully by the end of the calendar year. That was the goal.
Okay, anything else? Anyone else? Okay, thank you for those reports. We are now going to reports of subcommittees. Aquatic subcommittee. Who's got that? Lee?
Yeah, I got it. We had met and we had gone through a very similar RFP process that we went through with Like the Lakes, and we were able to take a look at, I believe it was 9 different architectural firms. All of them had kind of a different spin on what they were focusing on, and we came to a unanimous vote that was for this Mintham company. They had done they've done a whole bunch of pools, but one primarily Arisea knew a lot about, being up in Richmond. And they really seem to have an all-encompassing view of what our overall thoughts were for the Swim Stadium or for the plunge. And hearing Meredith tonight, I was really excited to hear that we're going to get a conceptual drawing or just their ideas and their site walkthrough plans. And the other thing is that I've been in communication with a couple of council people, and their support has been, really, really good. I know that it's going to be real trying with the financial budget that's coming out and everything else, but I'm just excited, and I was real happy to get through that process and see that we had what looked to be a real good vendor to give us a good idea of the scope and ideas that we can put into the actual plunge, and real promising. Kelly, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, no, I agree with Lee. Great to see a lot of different ideas and a little different takes. I think what's important to note is that the vendor that we chose actually had the best community engagement plan, was more inclusive than the other vendors, and really, was focused on what's important to us, like the historical preservation components of the plunge. So I think I'm really excited to see what they come up with.
Okay, thank you. We're going to go to the Gateway Committee. That would be Julie. And I guess Chris is on the phone too, so if there's anything there, let us know.
Yeah, on the Gateway Committee, Christopher's pretty much been handling that. We haven't been meeting, of course, but he's been doing a good job keeping us up to date as to what is happening. And I think the last time I had reported that we decided that we were going to combine 2 of our design teams. We liked each of their concepts, but we wanted to bring it into one. And so Christopher has gotten those 2 design teams together, and they have started collaborating. I don't know how much progress has been made because of everything going on, but the project is kind of in a holding pattern right now. And it's funny because it has become a topic on Next Door Neighbor, and people talking about it, and like they can't figure out why the area is looking the way that it is, and that something should be done and be done now. And, I've kind of said that things are in the works, and a lot of people still think that it should be a Eagle Scout project or a, community project. So, but Christopher is working with the 2 design teams, and maybe he can update us on what's happened in the last couple of weeks, Christopher, with that.
Sure. I wish I had more progress news to talk about. The virus thing kind of hit both companies, and has really put the brakes on things, if you will. We recently had a conversation with Public Works Department and how to facilitate an artist and their work and going with a public works contract and so forth. So I think we made a little bit of progress there in our thinking. It's still kind of an ongoing thing. And we're trying to, right now we're working on an amendment to the contract to get this a collaborative effort rolling again, if you will. So that's kind of where we're at, even though it's a project in progress, but very slow progress at this time.
And I can just kind of wrap that up by saying in my communications with the city manager, public works director, and the library director, we've kind of brought into the fold as she will be managing the Cultural Arts Development Fund that was recently passed. And as developments occur in the city, there'll be fees paid into this fund for the purposes of implementing public art. And so it's really important now that we sort of hit a home run with this project, and the city manager is certainly making it a priority. And I think we'll see a good amount of progress over the next several weeks on this particular project as we develop what that framework for the cultural arts and public art implementation is going to look like. This essentially will be the first project as a result of those fees, assuming that that we supplement the budget with some of the fees coming in, which is what's being discussed at this point.
Okay, thank you. That's it for the Gateway Committee. The Golf Course Subcommittee was on hold. The Transportation Subcommittee was on hold. So, Youth Sports Council. Dave, that's all you.
Yeah, Youth Sports Council typically meets twice per year, but since March 13th, I think we've met 3 times, at least twice, but maybe 3 times. And each time is, typically, if you're president of a youth organization, you're pretty passionate about your sport, right? So all of these people are just want the kids back on the field. That's all they want, and we love their passion. But the bottom line is, as Meredith has said, we got to follow the LA County guidelines, and right now can't have the fields open. So basically, Meredith and Sean have committed to the presidents that, as soon as we're able to, we'll open them back up. That may require, depending on what's going on at the time in the county, it may require individual waivers to be signed by families and players, possibly. But we're meeting consistently every month or two and keeping everyone updated as to where we are. And as you guys all know, it doesn't look good for the fall.
Okay, thank you, Dave. Department staff reports. There are verbal reports, obviously. Ericia, Recreation Superintendent.
Yes, I don't have a lot to add this evening, just piggybacking on the Mithun project, and that we are pretty much getting ready to finish the contract for the site analysis and needs assessment, as well as any community engagement. So we're excited about that moving forward fairly quickly, and they're excited too. And I wanted to add too with Mithun, just so you know, my positive takeaways from this group when they decided to come on with us is that they had a very real interest in El Segundo. They looked at the history, they talked about the history, so we felt very comfortable with choosing them. So we're glad to have them on board. Meredith, I don't know if you wanted me to bring up a little bit about the DEI Commission, or is that
something? Sure, go ahead.
Saving?
Yeah, you bet.
So City Council has agreed to have a DEI Commission, and right now they're accepting applications. The original deadline was going to be on the 17th, but I think they're going to try to push that out. So far, they've had 80 inquiries and 37 applications for this commission. So people are very interested and passionate about being a part of this, and I will be involved as well hopefully. So I will be able to bring you ongoing information about this new commission. So I'm looking forward to that too. And that's all I have this evening.
Wait, we don't get 80 applications for this commission typically?
I don't know.
Can I ask
Meredith?
a question on that? Can I ask a question on it? What's the difference, or why a commission over a committee?
Meredith, I'm not sure why they chose over committee. Do you?
You know, I don't know either, but I know that that's an ongoing discussion too about sort of fine tuning roles and responsibilities of committees, commissions, and boards, and sort of when one is a commission and another is a committee. I'll try to track down that definition of why, and I also don't necessarily think it's set in stone. I think that there's going to be further conversation at next week's council meeting, I believe, about this commission / committee, sort of laying out what the next steps could be and how it will be formed, what the organization will, what the goals and objectives are to some extent, and how the city staff is recommending to move forward. It's being spearheaded by the Deputy City Manager, Barbara Voss, out of the City Manager's office. Melissa McCollum, Director of Library Services, will be involved, and also Aricia has been asked to participate as well with her experience in the subject and research she's done and studies. I think that's to be determined, and I can't answer that question why they chose that particular word, to be honest.
Well, because I was just looking, because like the commission, city council and the commissions are 5 members, and most of the committees are 9 or more, and so they have 9 openings on that commission, and you would think it's going to be kind of hard to come to an agreement, you know, the more people that you get.
Yes, I would agree with that.
So, because, you know, 9 is quite a few people to try and, you know, come to agreements on things. And so I was noticing that difference is the commissions are all, and the council are 5 members, and the committees seem to be 9 or more. And then this one is, you know, listed as going to be a commission.
Yeah, I'll ask that question of them and see if there's a rhyme or reason behind the particular term.
Okay. Thank you, Aricia. Christopher Henson, Parks Maintenance Superintendent.
All right. Well, a couple of things. With the ball field closures that we've had, we decided to take advantage of that. And not only renovating Richmond Field, which was due this year, we renovated Brett Field as well. And all the fields are receiving a lot of rest. So we're really fine-tuning irrigation and detailing the fields and so forth. So I'm real excited about them really being in top shape when things do come back. And virus or no virus, maintenance still needs to go on. The grass still grows, the weeds grow, the trees grow. So my staff's been taking care of all of that, along with some contractors as well. This last week and a half, West Coast Arborist was back in town. They trimmed Holly, Kansas Park, several streets, Pine, Lomita, parts of Acacia, Penn, Sheldon, Nevada and Oregon streets. Let's see, what else have we had? There's actually an injection well site at Freedom Park that is under it's kind of a maintenance repair operation. That's going to take a week and a half, 2 weeks. That's in progress. And then there's actually one project that kind of comes through the streets department, El Segundo Boulevard median from PCH to, I guess, the eastern border. There's concept work being prepared right now for the median itself. And we're looking at redoing all the landscape in the medians And part of the project is obviously the street work, repair of the streets and so forth. So that's a project that's in progress as well. And that's all I've got. I'll take any questions.
Anyone?
Of course, I have questions.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Speaking of the tree trimming, Christopher, I was wondering about that. Last week, I was over working on some income property on the 200 block of Penn. And they had the signs up, no parking, because they were going to be trimming the trees. And in a little while, they came by and they took all the signs down and they left, and they didn't trim any of the trees it was on the 200 block, and the trees needed to be trimmed. And so I was just wondering how it is that they're picking and choosing. And then I was also looking at the trees that are in the kind of in the parkway there on Imperial Highway at California, all of those sycamore trees that are there, and I think there's some red buds, and they need to be trimmed badly. And I don't know if that falls under the same contract or not. But a lot of those trees are so overgrown and haven't been trimmed in a long time. And I know it helps with the development and the growth of the trees if they are trimmed. So I don't know if that area falls under their contract or not. Can you answer that?
Sure, and it does. I'm unaware of this 200 block Penn and them picking up their signs and leaving. I don't know if they were put out there by mistake or in error, but typically we provide the work direction and locations and so forth. So we still have money in our budget, so they will be back at our discretion, and we'll take a look at this Imperial situation. You know, we do have in-house tree crew as well, and they do a lot of trimming as well, and trimming requests, one's here, one there, kind of thing. So we'll take a look at both areas and address it.
Yeah, and the
Thank
200 block only maybe had 3 or 4 trees, but they did need to be trimmed. And so I was kind of like, why did they drive up, pick their signs up, and they left? And it was not the end of the day either.
Sure.
But most definitely over there on California and Imperial, we have a lot of trees over there, and they could really use a trimming and would look nice once they're trimmed. A lot of sycamores over there.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Anyone else? I'm not seeing any hands going up, so I'll thank you, Christopher. Appreciate that. Department Director's Report. Meredith.
Yeah, so I don't have a lot to add either. You know, most of what's going on here was covered in the COVID update report, as well as the capital improvement projects. I want to publicly congratulate Rachel and Linnea both. We're very excited to round out the recreation team with those 2 individuals, and happy to have them in place. So, and I know Aricia is excited as well. And just wanted to remind everybody for updated information on reopenings or closures, that the city website is being updated almost daily or with any change, elsegundo.org. And also there's, I believe, about 2 live video updates that come out a week on Facebook and then posted to elsegundo.org as well. So that's the best and most up-to-date information as things change, like I said, almost on a daily basis. So and all the resources are there for businesses, community members, everything you can imagine. At least the resource and a link is available, and we have all the information. If anybody needs anything, can call the city, and we'd be happy to direct them appropriately. So thank you again for your patience. we'll get your feedback on this virtual setting after the fact, and see how we want to proceed for next month. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody have any questions for Meredith? Seeing none. Okay. Commissioner comments. Commissioner Watson.
Yes, just two quick things. One, looking ahead at upcoming events, I want to start thinking about Halloween and what kind of crazy, exciting ideas we can come up with should we not be out of pandemic by then. And I wanted to put forth that the Kiwanis, who usually does the costume contest, I'm the chair of that committee for Kiwanis now. So bring me your ideas. I'd love to hear it. I want to be as creative as we were for 4th of July, as you were for 4th of July, and do something exciting and fun for the kids, because I'm anticipating that it won't be business as usual by then. Second thing, I always like to share some kind of study or article I found, and I found an article this time on the benefits of working outside, which I thought was interesting. And I thought, what a perfect time, as many offices are closed and people are working in different situations than usual, to take the opportunity to exercise a work outside, some creative work outside options. So I wanted to challenge everyone to try one thing in the next month. If we meet again in a month, you could have a walking meeting. You could just take your lunch to the park, or you could just bring your laptop outside and sit on your front porch. But any way you do it, try to find some time to practice working outside and see where we get. That's it.
Thank you. Commissioner Stolnak.
Yeah. First of all, I wanted to congratulate Linnea on your promotion there and heading up the pool. And I'm glad to see that. And Rachel, you as well. You don't know me, but I went to school with your father. And I remember the day you were born because I met him in the market and he told me about you being born. So congratulations on you coming back to the city and joining the team also. And it's nice that, our hometown people are filling the positions again. And nothing against Meredith or anybody else or Aristia. But it's nice for the kids that grew up here to come and return to the Parks Department and continue on with the traditions. Like I said, I think the parks are looking great. I think the job that everybody has been commendable. I've been blessed working being a volunteer for the senior shopping. I have a new little senior friend, and it's funny, every time I shop for him, he gives me a $5 tip, and I tell him that I'm just going to be contributing those tips to the Rotary Club, and I include a little treat for him like every other time, and he's a funny little man that always orders the same things, but he was very worried about how was he going to get to the market if we were going to stop this before he had shuttle access. So I think it's really been a positive thing for our community with everybody coming together and shopping for our seniors and making sure that they stay safe. And I think also it's commendable for our city that nobody at Park Vista has gotten sick, and those people have all stayed very healthy. And the way that we have staff outside of Park Vista and sanitizing, and I watch that each time before my senior goes back in, they make him sanitize and they wipe down his bags and everything. And so I think they've been doing a great job. And I think it's commendable because other cities have not been so lucky with their senior housing or their care facilities. So I think that's been great for our city, that we've kept our seniors safe and have spent a lot of time and attention for them. So that's all I have. I'm glad we did this because I've missed seeing everybody and being involved. And so glad to see all of you.
Thank you. Commissioner Lubes.
Linnea and Rachel, congratulations. That's all I have.
Thank you. Vice
No,
Chairperson.
I'm going to reiterate the Rachel and Linnea. Rachel, I think I remember you when you were working a little while ago here in town, and you got drug up to Malibu. So welcome back to, the pristine city of El Segundo after that shabby little Malibu place. But welcome back. And then Linnea, I think all know how I feel about Linnea. She's done a great job with the pool, the interims between other aquatic supervisors. And I really look forward to her coming in. And, once COVID gets done, we can get back on our feet and get going and just to go on about aquatics. It's great that we're open, and I sympathize with the people at the, in the other sports that aren't able to get out there. And it's good to see the pool back open. It's tough to go by while it was closed and see a $13 million facility closed for whatever reason. So that's and I also want to touch on Park Vista. One of my good friends, his mother's at Park Vista, and he gets weekly updates from the people at Park Vista, and he could not be more happy with the level of care that his mother's getting and the service that he's getting from the facility. So I think that's real important for a lot of us to know that it's not just what they're doing with the individuals there. It's, you're following through. And for me, it was real good to hear that we got people, not only taking care of the seniors, but their families are getting informed, because it's hard for them to get out there and really stay in touch and know exactly what's going on. So I want to thank you for all your hard work, and thank you.
Okay, thank you. I have a couple of things here. I want to thank Mona, who's in the chambers with Jackie, I believe, and also Darnell for helping us tonight get through this meeting. Jackie, amazing, helping us out, helping me out with the early morning, or the script, and then our dry run on Monday. Very helpful. Thank you. And thank you to all staff. You guys are amazing what you do. And we appreciate it, and the community appreciates it. And with that, Jackie, I just want to check and make sure there's no one in there for public communications for the second one, which I don't see on the agenda.
Nobody's here.
Okay, thank you.
And I think going forward, we'll have one public communications at the beginning.
Just one. Okay, that's great.
During COVID.
Thank you. And we'll adjourn to the next regular meeting on Wednesday, August 19th, 2020 at 6 p.m. And I'm going to guess it's going to be virtual again. Thank you, everyone.